Should be ready soon. And we're live.
Hey everyone, welcome to Injective's YouTube live stream. My name is Hannah and I'm part of the Injective Protocol team. Today we're excited to have our partner Stephen from Harmony join us today with Eric from Injective. So thanks so much guys for being here. Both Injective and Harmony are making monumental contributions in empowering cross-chain finance, increasing DeFi adoption, and just spurring growth within that sector in general. So let's start today's conversation with some introductions. Stephen, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your projects, past and present, and then Eric, we'll move on to you.
Well, thanks, Hannah, and of course, Eric and Injective team for inviting me today here. Super excited about you guys. We know each other from Binance Labs and just getting to know the whole cross-chain space from like having a strong player like you guys. My background has been more academic research, going to Google and Apple, building infrastructure. But now coming to blockchain, I think the whole story about how can finance with more like structured product, financial instrument, building on blockchain. We're very excited that we have the platform that's very early on thinking, along with you guys, thinking about what would be really the broader vision of each of the platform. I think having the understanding of like building bridges, cross-chain, and now you guys building derivatives, instruments on top of it, we're just very excited that we can have this conversation today.
Yeah, hey guys, this is Eric from Injective Protocol. So Injective is focusing on building a fully decentralized derivatives exchange that's on top of Cosmos and Ethereum. So obviously we're Stargate compatible and IBC compatible. So we're really excited to build more and more bridges to other ecosystems as well to connect. So that's why I'm really excited to be here with Harmony to build something together to kind of grow the ecosystem together. And another really interesting thing is that Injective and Harmony actually both utilize VDF at a certain point. So I think that we have that kind of like a cryptographic utilization going for us, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for the introductions. Stephen, Harmony focuses on scaling Ethereum applications and cross-chain finance. How do you go about approaching both of these goals? And as a sharding protocol with an Ethereum bridge, what is the function of this bridge and what are some of its key benefits?
Yeah, you really nailed it very to the point. Thinking about scalability is where we started almost 4 years ago, and the team started building. I think that has been live for 2 years. Thinking about the long-term advantage, taking the sharding and proof-of-stake approach is what Ethereum 2 has committed to the vision. The Harmony are very lucky to have experimented earlier and launched the mainnet. So the platform is going to be the key for many of the scalability innovations there. But you also asked the right question. Now that it's not just about scaling Ethereum application or scaling Ethereum of the capacity, but thinking about the cross-chain and the bridge itself. So our approach is really thinking about the long-term security aspect of the bridge. In particular, how to think about building a bridge that there are no more custodials, risk, how to put many of the bridge liquidation contract on the chain is really where we see lots of bridge solutions out there. But then what are the key long-term innovation that can still happen in a very exciting way? We still see lots of research, lots of players, lots of talent getting into like cross-chain bridge space. And for Harmony, we have been building different bridges to really help both Ethereum as well as Binance Smart Chain. But very quickly, hopefully Cosmos, for sure, Bitcoin, I think it's going to be key innovations.
Got it. Thanks, Stephen. Eric, our vision at Injective has always been to create a fully decentralized cross-chain derivatives exchange that is able to work across all blockchains. What are some steps that the team is undertaking now to become that fully functional cross-chain exchange?
Yeah, so step one would be we kind of built out Injective with Cosmos compatibility with IBC integration as well as Stargate upgrade on day one, and we actually spent a lot of time to make sure that when Stargate came out, we kind of re-architect quite a few things to make sure that we can interop with the greater Cosmos ecosystem, and that was just step one. So after that, we started working on Ethereum bridges and also importantly EVM compatible bridges. which is connecting with a lot of different L1 protocols that we can kind of swap out for any L1 protocol that has EVM compatibility. And the next step for us, and that's why I'm so excited about with Harmony and everyone, is that we're trying to create a standard for any of these cross-chain swap, utilizing our instant finality property to make sure that basically everyone has a bonded bridge that's fully decentralized, ideally, and more importantly, that's completely secure for everyone to trade on and to utilize.
It's great to hear about the recent partnership between Injective and Harmony, so congratulations to you both. This integration brings the opportunity to launch diverse interoperable derivatives. Could you tell us a little bit more about this partnership and what it means for our communities moving forward? Stephen, let's start with you.
Oh, absolutely. Not only we have lots of common partners with Binance, but the technical part, we have so much of like aligned vision. So we're very excited that both Injective is coming from the product, for sure. We have a strong finance background, and we are more of an infrastructure, more academic research to thinking about what will be the right connectivity for the network. If not some of the innovation about VDF that Eric mentioned, that we think there are lots of primitives that the whole ecosystem is still like innovating about. Working with partners like you guys will help force us to think about, can there be a strong product like cross-chain derivatives that we can really help facilitate? Maybe from us, we always have started with EVM even 3 years ago. We launched the Ethereum bridge even last year. But then as you guys start from the Cosmos ecosystem, fantastic, right? We have been following the Tindermans for like since the very beginning. The fact that you guys understand the gravity bridge so well, we think there are lots of like cross-pollination of the ideas, research that we can do together. We publish academic research even on the whole trustless bridge part that we'd love to really collaborate with you guys, really thinking about what are the products that we'll be using at day one, what are the long-term visions that we can still understanding there are still like tens of like layer one blockchain that we should come together.
Yeah, so I think what Stephen said is pretty comprehensive. And on top of that, I would say our specialty is mainly within the derivative aspect. And that means that beyond just bridging over asset to utilize as collateral, that means that you can also gain price exposure or market exposure to anything that's beyond the blockchain realm. So I think that's what's going to be extremely exciting for us 5 years out and 10 years out to become kind of a backend for a global 7 layer for all derivative of all things. And utilizing collateral and integrating with high performing and technically sound protocols is the most important aspect of it, because like we can't really survive and thrive without working with all the ecosystem participants with their unique communities and all the exciting aspects of it. And yeah, I think the crypto efficacy and the really cool integrations that Harmony is working on, like VDF and also sharding, definitely plugs an interesting string for us, because Injective started off as a pretty interesting technical exploration on a decentralized order book that's front-running resistant and collision resistant. And with that infrastructure, we kind of become today kind of like an end-to-end ecosystem for exchange and derivative of all things.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, guys. So speaking of interoperable derivatives, interoperability is typically considered to be the key to mass blockchain adoption, and interoperable solutions aim to interconnect homogeneous blockchains. So for our audience members who might not be familiar with these terms, can you explain more about why interoperability is so essential? And how do cross-chain transactions fit within your overall project scopes?
Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic question. I think people only started to realize how critical it is since last year. I mean, people know the vision, people trying to bridge BTC with ETH for years, right? But then finally last year, there are quite a few mainnet coming online, that there's a strong need. The liquidity is everywhere, but they don't talk to each other. But this is just the beginning, right? We really imagine to have fintech revolution that will connect with all financial system, that all these blockchain barely talk to each other, right? IBC, Polkadot, each have their vision of how to architecture, I must say, within the ecosystem, starting with Tindermans and starting with different parachain. But then this is a perfect time now that we have mainnets, we have liquidity, we have project, we have products that put them together. Harmony started more thinking about scalability first, but then scaling Ethereum application, scaling, I must say, the liquidity itself beyond the Ethereum ecosystem is a must-do, right? The future is for sure is going to be multi-chain, but what are the minimal infrastructure that Harmony can provide so that networks are connected? And hopefully from the injective side with the finance expertise, show a strong product that would make sense, right? Any financial platform should have derivatives that actually connect all of them, that there should be a liquid pricing. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, so I would say that just in general for interoperability, so before we kind of had the assumption that Ethereum is going to have a winner take all ecosystem, and obviously based on what transpired recently and what's going on with a lot of layer ones, gaining adoption, having a lot of traction, that's obviously not the case. So I think the most exciting part out of all of this is that basically we're going to see a multi-chain world with different ecosystem targeting different communities with really interesting product offerings and consensus offerings in a sense for different use cases. So I think what's really exciting about Harmony is that they have such a strong throughput and such a I would say fast finality that like a lot of these other layer one protocols will not be able to compete. So this is why we want to work with as many these L1 protocols as possible to make sure we capture as many user base and as many applications and even collaterals as possible. And like the way we give it back is that all of our derivative positions are tokenizable and transferable. So that means that we can export a derivative position to any chain and create a lot of really intricate building block for DeFi on any layer one protocol.
Well said, Eric. Thanks.
Thank you both. Stephen, Harmony's network has experienced a high degree of adoption recently. The number of transactions increased by nearly 600% from approximately 230,000 transactions to over 1.5 million transactions in just the past few months alone. How did you go about achieving this? And what is your strategy in educating and spreading awareness within the crypto community about Harmony?
Well, thank you, Hannah and Injective, really being our supporter and fans. We're very fortunate position that our network has been functional for like 2 years, that we've been building more of the low-level infrastructure, attracting developers. This year's explosive growth really comes when we start more time engaging with the developers. In particular, since the beginning of the year, we've been going to different developer conference, giving workshop. Bounties in particular has been super helpful. We've done a few hackathons with like lots of industry leading judges, but then the bounties have more specific way of telling developers what we need now. So we have like high growth both in the wallet transactions as well as the ecosystem. Also because we start to work with partners that are actually ready to try with whether Ethereum toolings, whether about the bridges. I think everyone have the product ready, and you guys have a strong understanding of the Cosmos ecosystem. Right now is really the time people actually now can have like thousands of users, like millions of liquidity. I think for us, thinking about the next few quarters, it's really working with partners like you guys, helping developers to, now that there are the primitives for derivatives, what can they do on the applications that will be using all the way across different chains.
Awesome, thanks, Stephen. Both Harmony and Injective have integrated with Binance Smart Chain, also known as BSC. BSC has gained significant traction in recent months, so we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how your projects plan to work with Binance, especially as given that both of you are Binance Launchpad IEOs as well. So, Stephen, let's start with you again.
Me again?
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm sure Eric has a lot to say. We were very lucky to get Binance and all the technical folks in Binance. It's just a really amazing, we call it Binance Labs family, right? Just saw the news from Eric posting there today. It's just very collaborative. Most of all, they have a very high standard about selecting project. So with Binance Smart Chain, honestly, no one saw the crazy growth after the DeFi summer. It was almost like a Binance autumn to be the growth. I think the bridge is just the first step. we have been Binance family for like good 2 years with Injective, like being a strong collaborator there. I do think that people have a lot to experiment because both I would argue that Western Asia ecosystem is very different. Binance and Ethereum ecosystem is very different. Cosmos and Polkadot is very different. It's really helpful to be more comprehensive and inclusive. And we are writing this book because we really, really must work with at least among all the blockchain ecosystem to have a chance to work with a broader financial system that the world has yet to see.
Yeah, so it's kind of similar to what Stefan said. You know, the Binance family is generally very close with each other. We've all known each other for a while, so it's actually kind of crazy how we're all like growing together. Definitely, you know, I remember, you know, 2018, Binance family used to be pretty small, and it's kind of like a closely knit group of people, and now we're all kind of like growing and scaling really, really quickly. So that's always exciting to see. And from a technical level, I would say the interesting thing about Binance is that they have a Binance Panama bridge, which allows for kind of like a pretty much like a plug and play bridging system. So basically, it was extremely easy for us to launch the INJ token on BSC very quickly, actually, and you know, integrate with the current BSC ecosystem. Like I remember the first thing we ever did was a PancakeSwap kind of like integration. So I think on that front, Binance has done really well in terms of bringing on kind of Binance family projects and getting them settled on BSC. And beyond that, I think one of the interesting things about BSC is that they just have such a natural volume and kind of flow of users that really kind of like contributed to the greater ecosystem for everyone in Binance family involved. So just in general, I think on that front, certainly, you know, Binance has kind of, by connecting with all the chains, all the projects, you know, like us, like Harmony, like Polygon and everyone, it's really like a strong synergy that makes everyone stronger together. So that's extremely exciting to me. And beyond that, you know, like Binance has always been extremely helpful in terms of like portfolio support and everything like that. So I think, you know, just in BSC has been a great channel of growth for Injective, and I would assume Harmony as well.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys. That's the last of my questions. We've kind of opened the floor up to the community to ask some of their own questions. So I have a few of those here. This question is for both of you. The community is curious about the Bitcoin bridge. Since both Injective and Harmony are working on that Bitcoin bridge, is that something that you guys can share more about?
Let's brainstorm together. I read through every single page of your technical document. I'm very impressed, by the way, how organized and detailed they are. But Binance, not just Binance Smart chain, but all the way to BTC is also going to be a huge play. From Harmony side, we have seen like lots of long-term research along the side of like Poker BTC and Kips Network, TBTC, as a long-term approach of putting the bridge operation and custodial solution a smart contract. Right. I know some of it you guys already mentioned that on the design. We still have a lot to learn. We are experimenting some of the tools. We're working with some like different approach to do it, and hopefully we have a lot to work together with Injective. The tooling side, a lot of collaboration and common libraries that we can share, and it's very different from like different like smart chain support. Right, but like Bitcoin itself really need different relays as well as like proof of work versus proof of stake. We spend lots of time understanding what kind of like clients would possible. We're working with cryptographers to understand what are the more like state compression that we can do. So hopefully we will have a lot to share with Injective, even for like something that we're still planning and brainstorming.
Yeah, likewise. I think one of the most interesting things that's going on with Bitcoin right now is the Taproot soft fork. And so that kind of enables a lot more possibility when it comes to bridge building and everything related. It definitely allows for more flexibility and a lot more possibility to build towards a more decentralized and trustless Bitcoin bridge. And I think that's something that's always exciting to me because I've been like monitoring the development of Taproot for Bitcoin for a very, very long time. And it's really interesting to see them kind of like all coming together. On another hand, I would say kind of before like Cosmos was working on like a Bitcoin bridge, but there were a lot of dependencies on short signature integration and stuff like that. So I think what we're seeing right now is kind of Bitcoin being more liberal with different transaction signature types that are coming on, and kind of opening up a lot of possibilities beyond just like a POA bridge, but also a lot more decentralized and trustless variations of Bitcoin bridge that can occur in the future.
Great, thanks guys for addressing that. This question's for Eric. Are there plans for options contracts to be a feature on the Injective exchange?
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting question. So basically, this is kind of going into like a little bit of a lesson around finance and stuff like that. So if you see like on Deribit and a lot of other exchanges, they generally create option contract with portfolio margining. So one of the current thing that we're trying to battle is creating a kind of cross-market portfolio margining that has enough liquidity and governance system that allows for basically a protection on the position for most of the trader and ensuring that it can't be attacked or spammed. So option is definitely something that we're extremely interested in. Obviously, slowly we want to build up that liquidity. We want to build up that volume and traction around spot plus perp, and then options kind of like our third step. I would say one of the downside of option, that we're currently seeing within DeFi is that it's highly restrictive. It requires, it requires it to be absolutely covered. You can't really, collateralize with, like non-stable coins, at least for most of the protocols out there. So I would say that this is really, like a building block that we need to work on for Injective before we get to the option step. And obviously, if we want to launch an option protocol, it's fairly straightforward actually, but it's more about, what's beyond the financial contract layer, but what's on the actual market dynamics and, what's being traded on Injective.
Got it. This question's for Stephen. How does Harmony plan to increase the development of tokens and apps in Harmony? And are there any plans to list one on more exchanges?
I think both are related. So the exchanges and more different regional markets all obviously help the liquidity and interest so that there are more users and more partners coming on board. But in particular, what are the products that we want to build? How to really get developers excited when there are so many options now. In particular, are we going to be a platform project? Are we going to be a product project? I think it always has been a very strange decision that like a platform has to make, right? I think even for many of the great product that have strong adoption in the market right now, whether Injective or Terra, right? They have a full stack. Right, they need to figure out the interoperable part, if not even building a consensus, and congrats on launching that, all the way to actually having a product that users can use. So for us, the community has been really asking us, both really making sure that we have a long-term roadmap for the architecture, research, as well as good understanding of security and scalability. At the same time, working with partners that actually they are product that users can ready to jump in and actually making, whether start making usage, money, utility, if not bringing value to certain group of people. I think our approach has always been bringing partners to help us with the domain expertise, especially now, it's not talking about vision anymore. Right? 4 years ago when we start, any ideas will work. Right now is where do you have like 10,000 users? If not, Binance show us, right? Show me 10 million of liquidity and 100,000 of traders, users to be possible. So we're very grateful that this year we will spend more time co-developing with partners. We'll be giving out more grants to think about, we can easily give out hundreds of thousands of dollars when these are the people, not just about bootstrapping another project, but help them launch with the technical support and the initial funding that they need. So that has been always an approach, which I think as a platform need to be fully aligned with people coming on board.
Thanks, Stephen. And then here's another community question for the both of you. Are there any plans for a Solana integration?
Well, Eric first.
Yeah, so we actually have a Solana integration at work. I'm not sure if people have noticed. Chorus One and a few validators on Solana is also a validator for Injective. And basically, there's been a pretty interesting Oracle system that's been at work, and we've been involved in the integration and development process. So, there are a lot of development around Solana that we're working on. And beyond, Injective, we also supported a kind of like anonymous project recently. So that's going to be very, very interesting. A lot more details on that is going to be coming out. I'd say, Solana's very much of a financial chain with high performance and high throughput. But, for Injective's case, it's not just about, financial chains. It's also about, a blockchain with a very much centered community around, a diversified ecosystem participants like Harmony.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I think really bring the key point together, right? There are really multiple ecosystems, or in particular, Solana really figure out like high frequency, if not high frequency trading very well with FTX and lots of hackathons around like high speed finance product. On the other hand, a few of us are all Bay Area friends. I mean, Tony really helped us really understand they're a little bit earlier than us starting the whole blockchain project. That's we really have been in touch, thinking that hopefully there will be an ecosystem around all this Bay Area layer one, not just bridge, but like really collaborating on many of the cross-chain, many of the financial product that is yet to come out. I do think that whether about WebAssembly language as well as Rust that they're innovating on, and then for us the EVM tooling and many of the long-term research, to us that's more important because at the end of the day we might all have our own mainnet and approach, but then how they all work together is really for many of these. I would still call ourselves a few of us as pioneers, so that there are much more connectivity and product that the adoption will come.
Great, thanks so much, guys. And last but not least, I think this is a fitting question for today's news. For Eric, congratulations on today's $10 million fundraising news. Injective received investments from Mark Cuban, Pantera, and a number of other prominent investors. So could you tell us more about how that round came together and give us a little bit more background information on that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really exciting development for us. It's something we've been working on for a while. I would say, one of the most interesting thing out of this round is that, beyond the VCs that participated, beyond, Mark Cuban, who's a very, very much of a important angel / investor for us. It's all about the Injective ecosystem participants that we're trying to build out to really accumulate a stake in Injective, at the fair market value currently trading at, to be able to incentivize them for long term. So it's kind of crazy to see, we have so many ecosystem participants, a lot of validator are also our investors, a lot of, I would say, other exchanges, and also a lot of centralized exchanges has also acquired a stake in us in order to, create a synergized future for, traders on Injective and ecosystem participants. And it's also kind of crazy to see, a lot of these VCs and also traditional investors kind of put faith in us and vote with their money. So now, we're a unicorn status.
Yay! Congratulations, guys. Most of our where's the champagne? Popping one bottle here today. Really incredible. Yeah, really incredible. I think it's a time for celebration, especially with the few like long-term investors, right? Having long lockup, thinking about long-term, really inject lots and lots of like great ideas into what you guys have been putting for a good time.
Well, such amazing news. Thank you guys for an amazing conversation and all of your answers. At this point, I'd just like to leave room for both of you to maybe elaborate on anything we've talked about or talk about anything we might have missed. So gonna leave it open to you guys now.
How's VDF coming along?
That's a great one. I do think that finally the research has been clear that it's going to be very critical for many of the basic users, right? For us, BDF is really for really securing even the network part. I think the whole concept of sharding and membership and malicious single shard attack has always been what we've been looking why BDF and randomness is going to be key for the network security. But then now it's also clear for all the application lottery as well as even as an Oracle data feed. Hopefully, we'll share a few notes about we have some implementation, but like how to make it production ready and how to even do audit on that. We want to learn a lot from you guys.
Oh, just curious, which candidate did you guys end up going with? Because I remember still seeing a few papers coming out with different pairings and interesting kind of candidates still coming out, but which one is, I would say, the most production ready?
So we started with, I think, a Google prototype that we started with. We haven't really used it probably, hopefully later this year. On some of the key cryptographic primitives that you mentioned, Snore, as well as BLS, we actually implemented it for a few years and using a consensus. And you mentioned about fast finality, right? I think that's really one of the key advantage of like Tindermates, as well as we also started with some PPFT that we want to actually keep on optimizing of the signature verification aggregation. On the VDF part, we will use it for resharding. So later this year, we'll really revamp it. We started with Dan Bonnet's paper. We really want to work with some of the Stanford researchers to really improve upon that as well. So whatever like secret sauce that you guys have, please do share.
Yeah. I think a lot of the students ended up working on a startup, right? Like the previous writers for VDF. So that's really interesting. Yeah, it's actually crazy to see, VDF, because I remember when we first saw the paper back then, it was basically the idea. It started off with like mod square root, and then later on it's like inverting polynomial, and now there's like countless candidates coming out, and also FPGA like implementations. It's just crazy to see.
Right.
Yeah,
I still remember that time Solana and Ethereum Foundation starting the VDF consortium. We obviously didn't go to the hardware route, but you are right. Like many of the cryptography innovation has been really impressive. We work with some partner, Dust Foundation, on the Plunk implementation as well. We're working with some of the Polkadot ecosystem to figure out the cross-chain like tornado-like mixer as well. Many of the whether cryptography just to make things secure, if not random. At the same time, whether compressing the state and make it private, it's going to be many of the innovation. I would argue also for like whether derivatives or many of the financial instruments.
Yeah, certainly very exciting. Actually, that comes that begs a certain question that I was wondering, and we'd love to get your input on it as well. Because I'm not sure if you remember, but back then, Solana had a proof of history. Actually, they still do, which is basically a VDF version that was a lot more practical and a lot faster to production, which is an inverted hash chain. Would you say between like academic purity and kind of like engineering practicality, which one will eventually win out? Because we kind of see the cycle within 2018 where there's a lot of very much in-depth research around cryptographic protocols, but at the end of the day, a lot of them didn't come to fruition, or maybe a lot of them kind of came out too slowly.
Well, we are definitely the academic purists. No, that's such a joke.
That's great.
We actually care about both. So bringing the best research to production has always been what we believe in a few years ago. But you are right. That Solana, to have that level of engineering, genius achievement, is something that we very much look up to as well. So I think it's a I wouldn't say a balance, but really do both, right? There has to be about something, the long-term correct architecture, if not making sure things are actually secure, right? It really take like 10 years for people really believe in the Bitcoin architecture that you cannot beat it, right? So we started with the sharding, with Ethereum 2 vision about proof of stake and proof and sharding, because we have really looked through a few quite academic research that have like long confirmations of like research result. But at the same time, using VDF to do like the way that Solana be able to have, even using GPU and have verification that are very fast, that scalable to thousands of validators. At the same time, each node would have leaders within very short block time. It's very impressive. I looked through many of the code innovation, and Tony and us talk about different approaches as well. It's fun to debate, no sharding debate, but at the same time, we actually really appreciate the level of network innovation that they would do. So hopefully we'll learn a lot from them from that side as well.
Great. Well, I think it's time to wrap up now, guys, but thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks to our community for tuning in. We're so excited to see the two of you collaborate and see what you do next. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Eric. Congratulations. Yeah. Really very impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.